This scrubland in Buk National Park, about 100 miles outside of Budapest, is supposed to be filled with trees. Trees that a company called mp4 promised would be planted to offset all of the carbon dioxide created in Vatican City in 2007. Kis Lajos is the mayor of Tizikeski.
We feel honored because the Vatican chose our village.
In a photo and story that ran worldwide, mp4 presented the Vatican a certificate declaring the Papal City the first carbon-neutral sovereign state. But as you can see, no trees were planted in what was dubbed the Vatican Forest. The project promoter wouldn't talk with us, and Hungary's Ministry of Environment and Water didn't want to discuss the project either.
I'm sorry, I will have to ask you to stop this interview.
As for the greenhouse gases produced in Vatican City, Georgi Dalos is the Climate Change Program Officer for the World Wildlife Federation in Hungary.
I mean, in the atmosphere, the same amount of carbon is there. There's no question there.
A Vatican spokesman said it's considering legal action in order to defend the Vatican's reputation. A European organization that tracks carbon offset scams says the Vatican was duped, and it's not the only victim. An investigation by the Christian Science Monitor and the New England Center for Investigative Reporting looked at offset projects around the globe. We found customers are often buying vague promises that may not be kept for projects that may not even help the environment. David Hales is an international expert on carbon offsets and president of the College of the Atlantic.
It's very much a Wild West kind of market right now, and again, it is a buyer beware.
This windmill project in India erected more than 500 windmills to create carbon offsets. But the project forced Indian tribal families off land they had farmed for generations.
The project is taking land away from us, and we are poor people. We are the people who depend on the forest for our livelihood.
In Panama, this project is trying to lure investors with promises of huge profits. The company says it will plant trees, then sell carbon offsets, and then cut down the trees to sell timber. It claims the plan is approved by an independent organization, the Voluntary Carbon Standard, but it is not. The company says 800 acres have been planted with trees, but our investigation found only 25 acres have been planted. Javier Arias is the head of Panama's environmental agency.
The primary thing is that what they say that it's going to happen must happen.
In Australia, the government has announced a crackdown on offset scams and already has taken action against 2 companies. Here in Europe, many carbon offsets are regulated by the United Nations under the Kyoto Protocol. But in the United States, promoters are busily selling voluntary offsets to businesses, individuals, and even government agencies. But the carbon offsets and the promises behind them are unregulated, often unchecked, and go mostly unchallenged.
There are a number of charlatans in the process who will sell you what they think you want to buy with no intention at all of delivering a carbon offset on the other end. And it is not a simple process to figure out what it is you're buying and to make a wise investment.
You can buy offsets on the internet or as an extra cost of greening your car rental, your hotel stay, or even your UPS shipment. Passengers at San Francisco Airport can purchase offsets from a machine before they fly. Their growing popularity has made the worldwide market for carbon offsets an estimated $705 million as of 2008. In the U.S., Vermont-based Native Energy is the celebrity's choice in offset providers. Its customers include the Dave Matthews Band and Bon Jovi. But most of the offsets they sell are connected with projects that won't bring full environmental benefits for 20 years. The company says there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, if you just look to our short terms and conditions or wherever we make a claim around an amount, we always have a reference to its over time. We have been a stickler around this from our very beginning.
But overall, expert David Hales says the carbon offset market offers up a lot of junk.
Even the U.S. Congress found out in its purchases of offsets that it was buying junk.
So if you want to do your part to help the environment, Hale says work hard to reduce your carbon footprint. As for offsets,
if there's this apparently simple way that we could say, gee, we're living green and we're not contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, and all we have to do is pay a little money. It's a temptation, I think, for all of us to do it that way. Unfortunately, it's just not that simple.
Carbon offsets remain a good idea in theory. The environment doesn't care whether the offsets come at the Vatican or the United States or here in Hungary. But the theory becomes a lie when individuals or businesses purchase carbon reductions that don't happen. In the Wild West of this new industry, with little oversight and no regulation, buying a carbon offset may relieve your conscience and your wallet, but maybe not the environment. This is Doug Struck reporting from Buk National Park, Hungary.